Hey, y'all. So, you know how I am about interviews. I don't like to just bring people in for no good reason. And one of the things I'm trying to be really tight about going into 2025 is I really want to make sure that we're seeing sides of people. One of the phrasings that you've heard me talk about in Nothing is Missing, and you've heard me say a lot that is like my magic phrase I use with my kids is tell me more about that. And tell me more about that is essentially my way of allowing people without boundaries to be able to just share what's on their heart, what's on their mind, what's their lived experience. And it's also what I say to my kids when I don't know what else to say to them. And I'm excited because, for this particular chat, I've brought on a really good friend of mine, Jasmine McCall, who is the CEO, founder, and co-creator of an incredible company called PayBump. Now, several of you already subscribe, you use it. It's amazing. It's an HR resource that can help you find a great job, prepare for a great job. I mean, it really is this incredible. They're not, and BT Dubs, not a sponsor. Okay, I just really believe in the product. But all that being said, I'm excited because there's so much more to her. And I think that she's a great example of a place that a lot of us are in or want to be in, where we built something great and there was some intentionality there, but it's now expanding beyond our greatest hopes, which is wonderful, but we also don't want to be trapped by it, right? We don't want to have golden handcuffs. We maybe see a pivot in sight, whether by need or by desire, and we're trying to figure out what does it look like to maybe step away from the thing that was so comfortable for us, while making sure that it still continues to flourish. So I know that's going to speak to a lot of the hearts and minds of the mamas out here who either have started a business or want to start a business or are feeling limited by the definition that society may have put on you. And so I'm so excited to hear from Jasmine. I can't wait till she tells me more about that. So first things first, I'm going to welcome Jasmine in the room. Jasmine, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it is my joy. So what people don't know is getting you here was a feat.
Yes.
It was. You look incredible. If you are following or watching this on YouTube, or if you're just listening, we have the full video up on YouTube. So you have to say, Jasmine's gorgeous, right? Like she is giving right now. Hair's done, makeup's done. You would not guess that she has just gotten off a plane from Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
And they lost your luggage. Girl, what didn't happen?
I don't know. Like I don't know what happened, but I just know that I was determined to get here.
I appreciate
God created
you.
a pathway,
That's
and now
right.
I'm here.
Listen, I feel like we're already getting lessons. Write that down. I was determined to get here, and God created a path, okay? Lesson number 1, we haven't even gotten into the goodness. So I think that this just speaks to your character. You have, ever since I've known you, you've been like this. You're like, what's the path I'm going to forge forward? Were you always like this? Like when you grew up, like, do you think that that's something that was part of your character and it shaped you, or is this something you stepped into as a woman?
Yeah, like my mom will tell you that even when I came out of the womb, I came early. I came on my own time. So there was always...
Don't let my baby hear you say that, okay? No, we're going to be right on. Don't listen to Auntie Jasmine. You be right on time, honey. No.
No, I've always just been someone that's forged my own pathway.
Mm-hmm.
I just believed heavily in my faith and my ability to bring things to pass. And so, like anything that I wanted to do, I found a way. If I couldn't go through a door, I went through a window. And so I'm not a person that's going to take no for an answer. Like that's kind of like a challenge to me, saying no or saying that it's impossible. So I think that's what helped shape me. And my mom was a super praying mom. I think you understand what that's like. So yeah, with the faith that she instilled in me and just me just being a go-getter, that's who I've
always been. Like when you were younger, what would you say that people would say about you? Like I was always like the talkative one who had authority issues, you know what I mean? Like that. But it was because I had plans.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how do people describe you?
As a leader, as a creator, I was always the person that would try to plan out someone else's life for them. And I'd be like, I know exactly what you can do and how we can use your talents and where to place you so that you can be the best version of yourself. So you're
the annoying friend. You're the one that I go
like
to.
The friend that wants to fix your life.
Yes.
And then sometimes I'm like, okay, everybody doesn't want their life fixed, so let me take a step back.
Listen, I'm still working on that. Okay, I'm still working on that. I get it. So someone would come to you and say, hey, I have an idea, and you're like, hey, here's the way we're going to get it done.
I've already mapped it out. I found the founders. I found like all of the investors for you mentally in my head. Like I've already built your company for you.
Oh my gosh.
Me.
So naturally then, this talent from your youth was going to translate into you building a career. Now, it's interesting to hear because oftentimes when you speak to people who have built their own business that are entrepreneurs, they say what you've said, which is, I've always kind of been like this. I had that bug since I was little. I came out the womb trying to monetize my nurses. You know what I mean? Like you
Right.
hear that often.
Yeah.
But the truth is, a lot of us, I would say maybe 50% of us, go into like corporate first anyways,
Yeah.
which is what I did. Can you tell me a little bit about how all the things that when you were younger influenced your career path? Did you go right into entrepreneurship? Were you always having a side hustle, or did you just kind of jump right in?
Yeah, so I started a business when I was 5. I sold
Oh, wow.
candy and artwork to my friends, like, literally in kindergarten.
Was it any good?
Yeah, yeah. I actually kind of had, like, a chain supply, my brother was a really great artist, so I actually get my brother to create the art, and, like, I sell it
Not
to my friends.
outsourced,
Yeah,
not
it was, like,
delegated,
outsourced.
not staff.
Yes, absolutely. So, like, I had a little system going, and, like, it was that, it was selling candy, it was, doing tasks around the neighborhood to, like, just make money, and so I've always been someone that's been all about creating, like, some form of wealth, whether I knew what I was doing at that age or not. And thank goodness for my mom. She put me into a magnet school when I was very young. So I
Mm.
had the pleasure of going to school with kids from all over the globe. So it
Mhm.
was like an international school. So I got to see a lot of different cultures and how they moved and how they cultivated wealth and just, how they created a name for themselves. And so having so many different like influences in my life gave me a really broad view of what was possible for me, even if I didn't see that in my own neighborhood. So,
Mm.
yeah, I think I was blessed at a young age to like my mom had me in piano classes. I was in the band, I was
Sure.
in the orchestra, and I was in advanced academia. And so I just had a lot of exposure to just a lot of different possibilities.
So you just naturally didn't have like a limited
Oh,
mindset.
no.
Yeah, which
No.
is incredible because I think that that's something a lot of us struggle with. You can
Yeah.
only become what you can see,
Yeah.
right? So when you were looking at a career, were you saying to yourself, I'm just going to go into corporate, or did corporate never feel limiting? Because for me, corporate felt like the step up, because I did have a limited world. My
Yeah.
parents, they did not have access to giving me too much exposure outside of, well, I was fortunate enough to go to really great private schools, but I didn't get to necessarily engage with some of the benefits of those private schools, which I
Yeah.
think is a common experience for scholarship kids, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, I get to go to this great school, but no, you're not going on the class trip to Whistler or Vail or
Yeah, to
whatever,
Spain
to
and all of those
Spain or
places.
whatever,
Yeah.
right? So fortunately, you were able to have a more robust experience. When it came time to pick career pathing, did you go right to corporate? Were you just like, I don't know what I'm going to do? And I say all this because some of the moms that are listening right now, we often feel like, well, I just went into having a family, or I, have been in corporate and it's been a while since I've gone back,
Yeah.
or I am in corporate and this is what I've done. And
Right.
I just love kind of painting the portrait of, we have similarities, but understand your pivot can exist within there. So tell me a little bit about that. What did you do?
Yeah, so starting out in middle school, like middle school, high school, I was told by everyone around me that I was going to be an attorney. They called me
Mhm.
the voice of the people. I always advocated for people because I have a brother that's got autism. So I was advocating
Mm.
for him and his acceptance, 6, 7 years old.
And that was
So
before autism was, I think, widely discussed.
yeah, like
So
autism in the late
yeah,
80s, early
it was
90s was just not
non-existent
a thing.
almost.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
was no
Hmm.
advocacy for it. So yeah, absolutely thought that I was going to be an attorney. That's what I wanted to do. And I think God said, no, there's a different way that I can use you and use your skill set. So after high school, I went down a pathway of wanting to become a nurse, found out
Oh,
I didn't
that's a
have the
pivot.
stomach for it.
Oh, no,
Did not
really?
have the
You were
stomach
like, "This
for
is
it.
not my
Nope.
ministry."
Saw too many episodes of like what was, ER and all those shows. And then real life was like, no.
That's so
And so
funny.
I finished out my first degree in family psychology because I was still passionate about people.
Mm.
So family psychology was where I finished. And during that time is when I got introduced to the world of technology. So I started working as an applications analyst for a banking institution. And so I got introduced to technology in the fintech sort of world
Mhm.
and, built a lot of relationships. And, honestly, like I had a degree in psychology. I just thought,
Sure.
how to in the world does that translate into technology? And it actually translated really well because you have to know people in anything that you do.
That's
So
true.
getting
Relationships.
getting those relationships and literally annoying my bosses and saying, "Hey, I wanna go shadow in cybersecurity, and I wanna go
Mhm.
shadow in the accounting department," and, like, forcing a pathway, and just saying, "I gotta get exposure so that I can determine what I'm gonna do." So, you know, in doing that, I literally received job offers from, like, the NSA, the National Security
Oh,
Agency, like,
wow.
when I started to land those opportunities, that was, when I started to understand that I had something that people wanted,
Right.
and it didn't have anything to do with what I graduated with, what my degree was in, any of that. It was just my ability to connect with people, my ability to call out issues and raise solutions for those issues, and just, my ability to, like, bring people together. So,
Yeah, that's so interesting because I feel like one of the things that's really standing out to me in this is you're talking about how you're looking for opportunities everywhere
yeah.
and that you were not fearless per se, because I'm sure it came with a little bit of nerves and you don't know
Oh, of
what's going to
course.
happen, but you actually went to go get them.
Yeah.
And it's for those of you who aren't familiar with pay bump or you're just kind of looking it up now, one of the things that's interesting is it really is different from a lot of other, employment hiring training sites in that it's empowering the individual to go get what they want,
Yeah.
which is so different from, hey, we've collected opportunities, come find them. And when I tell you, when I talk to moms who are trying to reemerge in the industry, who are people who are trying to get a boost to their business, I really hope y'all are listening in, who are saying to themselves, I need more revenue. I want more exposure. I want more opportunities. I want to make a pivot. The thing I'm always telling them is, you got to go get it.
Yeah.
You
You
got to
do.
go get it. And
Yep.
and you're saying like for you, that was actually the thing that led to your business was
Absolutely.
that you were like, I have a knack for going to get it. It's not
Yes.
just about the tech. It was that I have an ability to go get what I want.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that is huge. So a lot of people don't know, you did start out just on YouTube, right? Which is, you're a pioneer. You know what I mean? Which is really, because now the kids are, they're saying that's what they want as a job. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The
Yeah.
little ones born in 2002 are like, hey, this is what I want to do as a career. Meanwhile, we're just like, how do you work this YouTube thing?
Right.
So, I mean, you made that jump. Were you doing this simultaneously while working in corporate or?
Yeah, yeah. I actually kicked off my YouTube channel while I was pregnant. So Pay Bump was
Wow.
born literally while I was pregnant with my son.
Wow. Makes
Um
me feel lazy. I'm like, what am I building that's new on
No, you
today?
should relax.
What am I building? What could I have
No,
been? Let me go
you
ahead and
should be
build a
relaxing.
$1 million business on the side while making lungs.
No. No, if I could go back and, like, change it all, I would have
Mhm.
just, like, maybe waited a while until after I had the baby, but, um
Inspiration struck and you forged a
it
path,
did, and
right?
and I felt like the community needed me because we were, that was like 2021, and we were seeing massive layoffs and just
Mhm.
such an economic downturn where people were just losing their jobs, losing their benefits. And, when we were doing YouTube, I wasn't talking about jobs
Mhm.
originally. It was talking about finances and budgeting and
Mhm.
credit and that sort of thing. But the community came calling, and I had recruiting experience, I had project management, I worked in fintech, I worked in so many verticals that I could literally take the janitor and make him VP, fix up his resume and
Mhm.
show why he should be VP over whatever department.
Advocating, that's the attorney in you.
Yeah, I mean, that's
You were
what
like,
I
I can sell
do.
this.
Yeah, I'm like, I gotta serve these underprivileged, unseen, just unacknowledged people because
Mhm.
I come from a community where many of the people are just they're not seen,
But qualified.
but very qualified. So they're it's almost kind of like, to me, Pay Bump is the bridge where you've got the moms that haven't worked in 10 years, if you've got people that have been in the same company and don't know how to pivot, and Pay Bump is here to help you pivot into that six-figure or in some cases seven-figure
Yeah.
career.
Yeah, that's incredible. It's so incredible. Now, I'm gonna spill a little tea that people don't know about.
Oh gosh, what is it?
Yes, I know. You're like, wait a minute now.
I know.
So you work with your husband,
Yes.
right? And it's so interesting because I think just honestly, a lot of people always assume that people like work with their husbands or that their husbands like the magic behind the machine and all that. But for a lot of women, they don't. Like I know that for me, I am categorically like, this is yours and this is mine. And
Yeah.
I will not do it because I want us to get along at the end of the day. But I
Yeah.
have actually had the pleasure of seeing the two of you work together, and you guys have like a dynamic. Like you have a thing that really does flow. And I'm nosy. Do y'all fight? Like, how does that even work? Because you have built this thing that is incredible, but yet you get along. How do you do this?
I think a whole lot of therapy,
Tell the
therapy,
truth, right? Tell the
prayer,
truth. Tell the
having
truth.
some accountability partners,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that his skill set really complements my skill set. So while I can be the voice, the communicator, the bridge builder, he's the person that's got the technical software engineering and email marketing. So
Mm-hmm.
he's made companies millions, tens of millions of dollars. And I cannot do what he does.
Sure.
And I could have still built PayPal. It probably would have taken a lot longer without his skill set. So when you appreciate your partner's talents and their
Mm-hmm.
contributions, then you no longer look at them like this is something that's just my baby. We had to evolve into this is our baby. I was like, I guess I can share it with you, I guess, but
So you
but
guys have roles,
yeah,
and that really,
we for
really
sure
helps.
have roles. Yeah.
Now, I'm gonna just call this out and ask, like, because this is I've tried to do the roles thing, but what's hard is I have vision, and you seem similar to me in that context where it's like, no, this is how it's gonna go. Like, this is the vision.
Yeah.
Does that ever come up for you as a conflict? And if so, how do you handle it?
Yeah, so I'm very much a creator. Like I am
Yeah.
someone that I'm not going to think about the fine details. I can pay somebody else to do that for me.
Hmm.
Don't ask me the fine details. Ask me the big picture. I believe heavily in visualizing what you want. Like even in scripture, it tells us to write down
Make it plain.
and make it plain.
Hmm.
I'm the person that's going to like write it down and make it come to fruition. And like my husband has learned to respect that because he used to ask a bunch of questions and be like, "How are we going to do this? How much is that going to cost?" And it's like that's going to create fights.
Like,
If
come on,
like
details.
I just don't ask me details. I can't give you that. That's what you're for. You can go figure that stuff out, or we
Hmm.
can pay somebody to figure that out for us. But yeah, I'm here to build and create and motivate and accelerate. So that's just what I do. And if you respect that, we can get along with each
Oh, I
other.
love that. You're like, look, I know who I am. So
Yeah, don't be coming over
yeah,
here
right.
trying to
This
ask
is what it
questions.
is.
Yeah.
So I love that because I think it leads nicely into, what a lot of moms may be feeling, whether they're business owners or they've been, doing the hardest job, stay at home mom 24/7 with
Mm,
these babies,
very
right?
hard. Yes.
So we all feel, I think, that we're called for something more. A lot of times as women, we are put into a role that may just be temporary or maybe a role of need or a role
Yes.
that we respect, but just isn't all that we are.
Yes.
And very quickly we can lose sight of it. I, transparently, talk about this, with getting ready to shift into infant mommydom, there is that element of, I don't want to lose myself
Yeah.
because unlike I think, as a first time carrying mom, at 40, I already know who I am in so many ways.
Of
You know what
course.
I mean?
Yeah.
So I've had the blessing of being me for a really long
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
where I think a lot of people, they built their thing while being mom also
Yeah.
in a different way. And so, I worry about that, where it's like, oh gosh, like, will I have to pivot into a different thing? I'm meant for something where I don't want to lose myself. What's that like for you? Because you've built this incredible thing and like, girl, like you're not old. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you've already done this
My
thing.
knees would beg to differ,
Listen,
okay?
all of us,
They
right?
go out
All of
sometimes.
us.
I'm
This
just
is a
saying.
fact, all of us, right? But knowing that you have built this incredible thing that is, I mean, honestly, you could launch it and have done it, right?
Yeah.
And people would look at your life and be like, you did it. You know, how does it feel to know you're meant for something more? Do you feel like you're meant for something more? Because
Oh,
you say
yeah.
you motivate, you have more to share. How else could the world see Jasmine and that would feel fulfilling to you?
Yeah, so I used to be someone that was hyper focused on I want to do this and it has to be like this very vertical approach in how I get there. But then God, it's like you think you know what you want to do and you got plans for your life, but it's like just ask God
That
and
can
he
get
just
annoying.
laughs at you.
That can get
And I felt
annoying.
like God started laughing at me because God was like, "No, you're meant for so much more." And so I started to see that I was meant for more when I started having people. I think after I did a talk at South by Southwest is the first time I had like a TV producer and a TV network approach me to be on TV and to have a show that's about rebuilding the economy, just economic growth. And so that wasn't something that I'd actually visualized for myself, but I felt like it was God saying, okay, this is something you need to open your eyes to. And so now I've had more people reaching out wanting to collaborate on different ideas for TV shows and just like, things related to rebuilding our communities, the economy. And so I feel like God puts different people in front of me to like put up a mirror and say, like, this is some other things that you could do. Here's what you're also like meant to do. And so I've learned to not be so focused on what I think I should be doing,
Mm,
to just kind of like submit and just God, what do you
whatever it
want me to
is.
do? Like, just show me what your purpose for me is. Guide me, put me into the pathway of the right people, and it just works out. And I have enough faith to know that it's going to work out.
That's tremendous. I mean, especially because I think that a lot of, women who hear what you're saying can feel like we'll hear people speaking into us.
Mhm.
Honestly, one of the things I think is beautiful about us high achieving, multitasking women is that we will have people who are saying to us, man, you're so good at that. You should open up a bakery. Or,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, you're so talented. Like you should have a podcast or
Yep.
whatever. But a lot of us reject it.
Yeah,
A
we
lot of
do.
us will say, that's not for me, or I don't have the tools, or I'm not ready yet, or I can't see myself doing that thing. I've even had women who, while having a seat at the table, are questioning their seat at the table,
Yes.
and you don't seem to be doing that. I mean, you're saying like God's giving you these glimpses and you're turning and facing it, saying what's possible. You know, is that just how you're hardwired? I mean, are you scared?
I mean, I think working in government and working in corporate taught me so much about how to build relationships and how to navigate different situations. And I think that I had so many people that have like worked in government for 30 years and they could look at me and see what my talents were, even if I didn't know what those talents were. And they could kind of point me into that right direction. So I got a lot of mentors and I trust what they say. I'm gonna do my own due diligence and figure out my own path eventually, but, just having a lot of people to look up to that, see things in me that sometimes I just don't see in myself.
That's powerful. I mean, you're basically saying you're considering the sources and the people who have around you. And if they're people you trust, you're trusting that as confirmation around what's in
Absolutely.
your heart.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something we all could benefit from. Sometimes we reject what we know just
Yes.
because it doesn't seem possible. But if God's also setting everyone else to you, saying a certain thing, well, listen,
Yeah.
at what point are you trying to listen? You know what I
Yes.
mean? So that
Yeah.
makes sense. And you mentioned working in government. And as we all know, I don't like to shy away from, the current political environment. And, I think that we are in a place right now where there's a lot of political friction, I think is the
Yeah.
best way to describe it,
Yeah.
where everyone has a strong feeling
Yeah.
about kind of results, outcomes, the future. I always want to know, how do you feel about the future? And I think that obviously it's a mixture, right? A total comprehensive thing. It's some of it may be about the current administration. Some of it may be about how the economy has impacted you. Some of it may be about if you have children or not. So just altogether, how are you feeling about the future, knowing you're branching out into new things and, you have this incredible tool that's helping so many, how do you feel? Are you feeling positive? Are you feeling optimistic? Like what is it giving?
Yeah, I feel super positive and super optimistic about the future because I know that I have a purpose, and regardless of who's in office or what happens in the political state that we're living in, I still have a job I got to do. I still got thousands of people that I've got to support and put back to work. So that for me is my daily motivating factor. I still got a son to feed. And so no matter who gets elected, I still got to put gas in my car. I still have to pay the mortgage, my husband and I both. So
Mhm.
I think who you vote for is just who you vote for, but like your responsibilities don't change, your obligations don't change. And my faith certainly has not changed. And so, I just think that regardless, there's still, a lot of good that can be done in this world, a lot of good that I can do in this world. And so, my purpose in life isn't attached to a political figure or anything like that. So just always optimistic.
Oh, it's what I needed to hear. You know what I mean? That's what I needed to hear. I think that one of the things I've been seeking out are moms who are still doing it, moms who are making that pivot, moms who are getting back into it or exceeding and changing from where they were before and not feeling limited,
Yeah.
And I definitely think that you gave a little bit of inspiration to me and to everyone else. And I am so, so grateful. So you always have things going on. You're speaking on stages, you're traveling, you're mentoring, you're helping serve people, you are potentially showing up on TV very soon because there's always so much conversation. So right now, I know we can find you at Paybump, but where else can we find you around the internet?
Of course, I'm on YouTube. That's the primary place where I hang out. I just got on Threads. I am
Oh no,
Jazzy.
now we're about to
Yeah.
hear the real lessons from you. I can't wait.
Right, right. But yeah, so that's where you can primarily find me: Instagram, Threads, and YouTube.
I love it. Y'all, we'll have all those details in the show notes. And again, Jasmine, thank you so much for sharing that inspiration around pivoting, around staying positive in these times, and about keeping your marriage together when you're trying to work with someone, because I need all of those tips. So
It's
thank you
tough,
so much
but
for
it's
being here.
doable.
It is
Yeah.
doable. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.